in Houston. So I think that would be an all right decision by me because I would think the Cardinals would win with even with Romo. Um, but that's just me.
I would give the Cowboys a fighting chance with Romo. I certainly do not think they have a chance without Romo.
That's true. Okay, I agree with you. And I hope you guys didn't think that we actually forgot about the World Series. Now I wish Snowball was here so I could rub it in his face that he picked the Royals. He said the Royals were this fairy tale team that were going to win the series in Game 6 or 7 at home. I told him that's not happening. Whoever wins, I think it was Game 3. Or no, it was Game 4 at the time. I said whoever's winning that game is winning the series. Snowball didn't believe me. Giants won. Giants win the series in 7 in Kansas City. Bumgartner came up clutch late in the game. What did he come in the 5th inning, CB?
Yeah, he came in for a 5-out save. 5-inning save. Pitched 5 scoreless innings. Had the Alex Gordon scare at the end where 2 outfielders misplayed a ball and let Gordon get to third base, and some thought he should have been sent. And I was reading some data on this by 538, who works with ESPN, and they were saying there was about a 28. There's less than like a 28% chance that he would score if he was sent. So they were saying it was probably the right call, comparing it to the chance that if he was not sent, that the chance that they had to score. Obviously, Baumgartner was the hero of the series. He gave up 1 run in the whole series, 2 wins, and then the 5-inning save there. I would also like to rub it in your face that after I originally picked the Dodgers to win the World Series and they lost the first round, I then picked the Giants and actually got that one right the second time.
Okay, but I picked the Giants too, so I don't see where your argument is.
I picked them earlier, dude.
Okay, CB, I'll let you have that one. So yeah, in your face, Snowball. Sorry to all you Royals fans out there. I told you the World Series does not support fairy tales. That's only the League Championship Series.
See, I was rooting for the Royals though, because the last time the Royals won the World Series was 1985. The Mets missed the playoffs that year, went on to win the World Series the next year. So I was hoping for a little similar magic there.
Okay, CB. All right, whatever. But yeah, I feel like everyone's like not talking about the Giants, how great they are. 3rd World Series in 5 years. That's insane. And I don't know if it's because baseball gets such poor ratings or whatever. I feel like that just gets overlooked, how dominant the Giants are.
Well, I think that's something we definitely just talked about. We're going to talk about in a later show is how to improve baseball in general and get the ratings back up. But I think the Giants showed how you're supposed to win in baseball. You got to build up your farm system, make them the stars of your team, and then fill in the gaps from there.
Which is exactly what the Cardinals have been doing.
Exactly. They've had players like Buster Posey, Madison Bumgarner. Tim Lincecum was key to those first 2 championships, even though he's fallen off the cliff for the most part. You build those star players through your organization. Look at Joe Panic coming through their organization and being a crucial part of this World Series. They built in the most important parts of the team through their farm system, and then fill in the gaps from there. You players like Cody Ross a couple years ago, Brandon Crawford, coming up clutch and very important in key situations. But the most important part is to build through your farm system in nowadays baseball. You're not going to be able to build an entire team in free agency like the Yankees were once able to, because players are being locked up for multiple years much earlier.
That's 100% true. Now, is Bruce Bochy just one of the greatest managers of all time, do you think?
I'm not ready to go that far yet, but he certainly has a good chance to do it. 3 championships in 5 years is good, but there's been a lot of really good managers out there. And I would argue he's not even the best manager managing today. I think that's Joe Madden. Now he's recently... I'm not sure if it's completed yet or not. But
they're announcing it on Tuesday, I heard.
Okay, so it's not official yet, but he's going to be the new Cubs manager. I think he's the best manager in baseball. He completely brought the shift to baseball. And to be able to replicate the success they've had in Tampa Bay with such mediocre players, for the most, I shouldn't say mediocre players, with such lack of finance is completely incredible. And I think the fact that they have all those prospects up in Chicago is going to help him lead that team to a championship within the next 5 to 10 years.
Yeah. So, I have 2 questions for you before we go to commercial. One, how much impact does a manager have in baseball, do you think?
In baseball, I think it's more than other sports, because if you look at football,
more than the NFL?
Lot of in a lot of times, even though they call the plays, the quarterbacks are audibling to their own play in general. And if you look at Peyton Manning, offensive coordinator probably plays very little part. If you have the right players, you don't need the offensive coordinator as much. If you look at basketball, it's a system, and there's a lot of coaches that can help a team. Like Tom Thibodeau helps the Bulls because of his defensive principles. But in baseball, there's so many things there's so many numbers and you can only sub in players once. You have to know when to use players, especially in the National League game. In the American League game, you don't have to worry about when to bring in pinch hitters and stuff like that as much, because your pitcher just comes out when he's done. But in the National League, you have to think about double switching, when to get the pitcher out. I think it's a really strategical game, and they have to worry about who to shift, when to shift, diagnose a lot of numbers. I think MLB is one of the most important sports for a manager.
Wow, this is going to be a bigger debate than I thought. We'll have to save this for another show, because I completely disagree with CB here. But last question. We're going to go to break after this. Who replaces Joe Madden in Tampa?
I'm not completely certain who. I heard the first thing is they're going to try and get. They might file tampering charges with Joe Madden because they think that before he was actually fired, that the Cubs were talking to him about being their manager, which would go against MLB rules with tampering. And that is something that could play a factor in before they end up actually getting a new manager. I think that some of the top candidates are their bench coach, Dave Martinez, and also former player Gabe Kapler, who played with the team that lost to the Phillies in the World Series, or some of the names that have been thrown out there. But it's not really clear to this point because, again, they're not going to go and break the bank with a high manager that's going to cost a lot of money. Now, obviously, he's done managing, but like a Tony La Russa or something like that, they're going to want to hire either in organization or person getting his first-time job like Gabe Kapler, because they really don't have the finances to pay players a lot of money, let alone managers.
That's true. I'm keep trying to think of who can replace him, but I keep coming back to Manny Acta, old manager for the Indians. I don't think he did that terrible of a job with the Indians. I think if they can get him for the right price, he could fit in.
I think they're going to have a hard time getting a manager who's already managed in baseball, because they're going to demand more money than the Rays are going to be able to pay.
Yeah, that's true, because they can't fill seats in Tampa. That's their main problem.
Yeah, I even heard a rumor thrown out there that they could be moving to Montreal, and I heard that thrown out there.
Oh, I like that. You know, I'm all about bringing back the old teams who had their teams ripped away from them. Love to see the Expos come back. Love to see the Sonics come back. The Oilers, the Whalers, the Thrashers. We can do all of that. The Vancouver Grizzlies. You down for that, CB?
The Vancouver Grizzlies.
Well, they wouldn't be the Grizzlies because we have the Memphis Grizzlies. But the
you give me that one. I'll give you that one.
All right. Most importantly, the Sonics, though. All right, we're heading into commercial. We'll be back with Garden State Sharks, hometown roundup, and our NBA preview. Can't wait for that.
Kicking it. What are we kicking? A soccer ball. That's right, Infinity Sports Network now has its very own soccer show. Hosted by none other than Jake Leiker, Byron Tollefson, and Noah Tabor. We bring you all the latest news on and off the pitch in the soccer world, whether it be the international or club level. Like us on Facebook at Kicking It. And don't forget to tune in once a week on Spreaker.com/Infinity Sports Network. Listen to us there.
And we're back. I'm actually not feeling talking about soccer today. Everton only tied Swansea City. I was pretty disappointed with that. Lukaku almost had a goal in stoppage time. He was about an inch off sides, so we didn't get the win there. Still tied for. Huh?
I thought you didn't feel about talking about soccer.
Yeah, I know. I'm explaining why.
But you're doing that by talking about soccer.
All right, I'm a hypocrite. Sue me. Everton's
All right, continue.
Everton's still tied for I don't even know what place they're in. I think 7th in the BPL. Looking to move up, looking to clinch that Champions League berth this year. Finally, stuck in the Europa League this year. So yeah, looking forward to that. But without further ado, the Garden State Sharks. CB, this was a rough week for you. 1-4. You have anything to say for yourself?
I was forced to put in my picks at the last minute.
That's actually not true. That's actually not true. During the show, we announced that you had until 9 o'clock a.m. to make your picks.
Yeah, and they came in around 9:10, didn't they?
Yeah, so technically you should have been disqualified. You should be grateful that I gave you the one win. But let's just recap a little bit. Lions -3.5 for versus the Falcons. We all thought that was a no-brainer, picking the Lions in London. The Falcons came out swinging in that game, and then the Lions ended up coming back. Both teams were trying extremely hard to lose, but the Lions actually Matt Prater actually missed the game-winning field goal, but then a delay of game was called, and he got an extra shot. Now there was some speculation about 2 other delay of game calls that might have been missed, and then the one they decide to call gives the Lions the win. But nonetheless, the Falcons covered because the Lions only won by 1, so we all got that one wrong. Now the Vikings +1.5 at the Bucks. Me and CB both had the Bucks, so yeah, that was a tough one. The Vikings covered and won 19.
All the games you pick are tough.
Huh?
So I do bad on all of them.
You went 1-4, bruh.
I know. That's the problem.
And yeah. So, I felt like the Bucks just got unlucky. It went into overtime. Fumble. Anthony Barr brought it back for a touchdown, and the Vikings won. It was really, it was actually very close. Just an unlucky bounce for the Bucks, literally. And they are currently 1-7, and only 2 games back of the division lead. Put that into perspective. And then
I don't think I can.
Huh?
That division's bad. Other than that, I don't think there's much else to say.
Their division is terrible. I picked the Bucks to win the division. I thought they were going to be like 9-7, 10-6. They're 1-7, and they're still in the race for the division. Could you imagine like a 4-12 team making the playoffs?
Could you imagine if the Jets were in that division and they were still like at that point, how like New Yorkers would be talking about that?
The Jets aren't even in that division.
I was saying, if you imagine if they were.
If the Jets were in the NFC South.
I'm putting a hypothetical
CB,
question
do we have to
out there
drug
that you're
test you
not
again?
studying.
Do we have to
No,
give you another
I'm
drug
saying
test?
I'm putting a hypothetical question out there saying what Jets fans would be saying if they were in the NFC South.
A
and they were
hypothetical
1-7.
geographic relocation of the New York Jets to somewhere in like Louisiana. So they'd
You're
be
not willing to answer my question, are you?
the Jets. No, the Jets might win that division by default, but then they would have to play the Saints twice, and they would get demolished by the Saints. So they wouldn't win that division.